I guess we're live again. David was having an issue, so let's go over it. There we go. Hey, James. How you feeling, buddy? David was having an interesting issue with his 394. Hey, Brandon. So, uh, something that I'm really not sure I can explain. So, here we go again. Not sure what to do with the camera, but I want to look and see what the heck. Okay, so as I figured, I'm not exactly sure. Did David come on? David's on. Okay, David made it. All right. So, you know what? Let me shift over the camera here. Hang on a second. Oh, you know what? I could just raise it. I'm going to unplug it anyway. I'm going to unplug you. Raise you up. I can plug you in over here. You guys just got to remind me. Plug that back in. Compound fracture of the ankle. Yikes, James. Okay. Hey, Ellie. Barry, David, Brandon, everybody's here. This is a different site. Yeah, this is not the one that I was running earlier. This is the second one that's going to be for sale. But David had a question on the oiler. And I was trying to go over it with him and troubleshoot it in email, but that ain't working, so I gotta re-Loctite this later, but whatever. Right, the oil is supposed to come out of this hole and then travel up and then along there. So the bar plate basically forces it up and out. Yeah, we're missing Craig, we're missing Tim, we're missing Larry, and probably a few others. It's coming out the other hole. Okay, so let me just get something to point with here. So this hole here. So this hole is actually, this is the vent. That's the vent. This is the hole that the oil should be coming out of, because the communication between the oiler and and here is where it's, that's where it's supposed to be. Basically, there's a hole drilled here, and then somebody drilled a hole that way in the case. I don't know how they do that, but the there's a thing in the back, but it doesn't matter. The oil has to go from here and come out here. If the oil is coming out here, then check your vent tube and make sure it's not loose like this one is. No rubber seals around the oiler hole. So here's the vent tube. I think this is actually supposed to go in this way and then get tapped in that direction. But if oil is leaking out the vent tube, see, if you push it too far, then this will just go right in, which obviously you don't want to do. James has to recover. He doesn't have any choice. I got all kinds of chains with his name all over it. So yeah, basically what happens is the metal here bulges the plastic a little bit, and the plastic interferes theoretically with the magnesium case. This is just a roll pin. A little bit more with the bulge here. Just want the roll pin to go in there a little bit further. And no, I'm not convinced that this is an ideal way to design a vent, but whatever. There we go. And the tube sticks kind of up in the tank. You don't want it dipping down. Yeah, I'll just comment and say I think the nurse thing is overplayed. But anyway, David, does that help? Have you figured out exactly what's doing in there? You're saying it comes out the vent hole? The pump itself has no communication with the vent hole. Unless it's somehow pressurizing the tank, which would simply mean that this is actually running backwards, but that makes no sense either. If this runs backwards, effectively two things have to happen. The vent itself on the tube on the other end has to be dipped into the oil in order to shoot oil out of there, right? Ideally, there's air in that tube, you know, and ideally you're actually pulling a vacuum. When you're running this, you're actually pulling a vacuum in the vent, so air goes in the vent. So that because effectively the pump is negative pressure, it wants to pull the oil up and out from this right to this other hole. I don't know why it'd be running backwards though. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, you should be able to. Well, let's see if I can do it even with some WD-40 here. Where's my WD-40? What do I not have lubricants around here? Where'd all they go? My brake cleaner. Where's my WD-40? Really? I got PB Blaster, that'll work. If I can get to it. It's all the way up back over there. I mean, just doing this, you should be able to see bubbles come out of there because it wants to actually push oil out that way. I don't know where my darn WD-40 went. It might be upstairs. Hang on a second. Let me get that. Let me look for it. Here. So I'll put some WD-40 right here. And if I run this backwards, theoretically it should want to pull the WD-40 in. Let's go the other way. Ah, there comes a bubble. It's trying to push the WD-40 out. Very slow. Yep. So if you push a little bit, so the pump is working effectively. Yep, and there comes another little bit. Let's see. Will this work? An idea. Let's see. Maybe with the Scotch-Brite off. Go the other way. Yep. So it basically wants to kick all the WD-40 that's in there out. And that's correct. The RC Nut finally caught you live. Yay. Hey, how's it going? Brandon, what was the ticket on your 290? Alright, I don't know if you guys can see that. Probably not. Let's see if I can move you. I'm going to move you. Nobody freak out. Basically, the reason for tonight is David was having an issue with his oiler on his 394 for some reason. And we're trying to figure it out here. And I'm just trying to go over basically how it should be, which it might, of course, be different from how it is. Right? In practice and in theory, two different things, right? That's a little better. You need a haircut? Yeah, I know. Shh, be quiet. Okay. So let's fill this thing with WD-40 right here. And then if I'm running, this is the direction because it pulls the chain that way. So I want to run the drum this direction. Let's see. Yep. And you can see this well up with the bubble. Can you guys see that? Pop the bubble there. And it comes basically in waves because of the way the oiler is designed, but can you guys see that, or do I need to get you closer? I think I need to get you closer. Hang on. Actually, it's easiest like that, probably. I want to keep the saw flat here. Okay, so just as a pointer, there are 2 holes. This is the vent. And when the saw is running properly, you're pulling air in the vent, and you should have oil coming out this hole right here. That's better. Let's see. Yep, there it comes again, and up, and a bubble, and again, and again. Yep. So that's good. Let's see if it goes the other direction. Yep. So it's actually sucking down in now. So that's assuming something in the other end isn't clogged. That's how the oiler should work. That basically proves that the oiler is able to effectively move air. I mean, it actually pumps air because there's no oil actually in the tank. It's just the WD-40 here on the outside. If it'll pump air, it'll also pump oil. So this one clearly works. David, does that help? Because if the oil is coming out of here, it might. You have to check the vent itself and make sure it's not loose or something, and that oil isn't leaking out. So, because if this wants to, just leak out on the floor, then that's it might do that a little bit. It might weep a little. So, because these things just do that, but it shouldn't be, everything coming out there. See if you can put the saw on its side like this, and see if you can drive the drum like I was doing. I just have this piece in the drill. So yeah, I hope that helps you. What else did I want to? If that helps, then we'll kind of move on. But out of the 2 holes, it should be actively coming out of here. Well, intake boot was loose. That'll do it, Brandon. So let's see what happens. Yep. So this, when driven straight, driven sucks this down in. You can see that. So the vent is trying to pull air in, as evidenced by the oil. Yeah. Now that there's some oil in there, if I drive this backward, so this is forwards. The chain coming this way is forwards. If I drive this way, then I should get a little bit of oil to come out of the vent hole. Nope, that's driving it the correct direction. Hang on. Let's drive this backwards. We want to drive the drum backwards. Let's see. I'm sorry. We're not going to generate pressure there because I don't have. Oh, I do. I do have that on. I thought this wasn't in. I do have it. Hang on. Then we should be able to generate pressure. Let's see. If we're forcing air back in, then it should want to come out, right? Yeah, that makes sense. I can see the oil disappearing down the pump. What? Yep. Okay. Sorry. Bad picture. Bad picture. This should want to force oil out, though. And I don't see it doing that. If you're forcing air in, supposed to then there's got to be some place for it to go, so it has to come out, and that's the only other hole that's. Another idea. Use actual bar and chain oil. It definitely pulls in, but it doesn't push out. I guess I'm not that worried about it then. I don't know why. Anywho, there you have that. I think, yeah, internally there's a brass fitting. There must be a brass fitting that goes from the oiler internally in the tank to right here. Okay. Anything else here, guys? Okay. So Brandon, how's this all run? Does it run good? You like your 290? See, I don't necessarily dislike how 290s run. I just hate taking them apart. I hate servicing them. So I'm just not a fan. Any parts for the brakes? Um, maybe we should do that tonight. I gotta take the head off, and I do have the carburetor kit. Um, what else was I waiting on? Probably gonna need to do a valve job. I don't know. Don't pump. David, the pump's not working. Hybrid, getting fired up. Chainsaw Milligan on Sunday. 5 logs to go. Yeah. Okay, have fun. Okay, David. The next step is to pull the pump out. It sounds like you actually have two things going. One, you have a leak out the at the vent, but the other thing it sounds like you have going is you got to check the pump and make sure the pump itself and make sure it's working. I have one pump. It could be something as simple as for whatever reason it got stuck and that plastic worm is stripped. That happens. Um, this darn thing. See, this pump, the worm in here is frozen. Like I can't move it. But you should be able when you get the pump off, you should be able to freely move this and put a little WD-40 here and make sure that the pump is in and out with the WD-40 as you move that with your thumb. This won't move right now, but I can certainly take this apart. Don't really need to, but we'll do it anyway. We'll take it apart and look at it. Nikki, what'd you get for a new chain? This white plug comes out. I use a speed out for this. Works really good. Mm. Oh, David, before you pull the whole pump, run this back and forth just a little bit. In all the way, out a few turns, and see if the pump starts working. because this one I can feel there's a little ball detent thing in here, and it ain't working. Then you got to pull the pump, or at least pull the clutch and the drum off. Pull the clutch and the drum off, and that worm and the black worm gear there. Pull that out, and then see if you can manually move this part. Inspect the worm and inspect this. Yeah. Whoa. But there's a little detent right in here. And it likes to get jammed. The clutch and the drum is easy, just comes off with a 19 millimeter. And if you can hit it with an impact, you want to take it off clockwise. Clockwise with an impact, it should come right off. There we go. I moved it. These are a pain. I've done plenty of these. There it goes. Sometimes I need to heat these up a little bit just to get that to move. But once she moves, there we go. Now the plunger's moving. There's a plunger right there. Now the plunger moves. Good. Edwin, you made it. Oh, David's having issues with the oiler on that 394. No, James, it's not. Not really sure that there's anything that I do that's akin to pulling teeth. And some really are not that hard. Others I've fought with for hours. Okay, so now we got the plunger working. Good. See, now that this part is out, this piece should just fly out, but it's not. So something's jamming it. There it goes. Just push it out. Bear in mind that there is a spring and 2 washers, copper and, well, some other metal. I don't know. Probably stainless. Copper and stainless. Stainless first. Stainless goes back on first. Now we can clean all the gunk off of this. That stuff makes you see purple, people, James. I'm just letting you know. Public service announcement. Just so everybody knows, medications are tools, just like a hammer. Use it the wrong way, and you get into trouble. It can really hurt you. Use it the right way, and it's your salvation. Use it the wrong way, and bad. Bad news. So you can clean all this out. Plastic gear is destroyed. Well, now you know why. Well, we don't know why the gear is gone, but check and make sure that this spins. If this doesn't spin, if this jammed for whatever reason, then you know, then you know why the plastic gear is destroyed. But we got to find out why, you know. It's usually better that the worm goes than something else. Okay, so David, then what you do is take apart the oiler just like I'm doing here, and see if you can figure out why it doesn't spin. And if need be, I'll just ship you this one that we're rebuilding here. So this can be nice and oily internally. This should spring freely, basically. And that should spin just like that. Oil it up a little bit. Flats out. The plastic gear is the only problem I've ever had with a Husky oiler. You know, I think the one on David's saw is indeed rebuilt, just like I'm doing here. So, but if something gets in there and jams it, who knows? But it should spin just like that. And then what you do is you put a little WD-40 right in here. And you can see it just, if you run this way, it just sucks the WD-40 in that way. If you run it the other way, the WD-40 wants to come up and out. See the bubbles? There. Never see you use a torque wrench. James, you should check out my other videos. In particular on cars. And I use a torque wrench all the time. Definitely, it's probably, I think when I went over this, when somebody asked me what my favorite tool was, and I think number one is what I said was a torque wrench. So often I know by feel on the smaller bolts, but on the saws. But if you're doing a brake job or something, you basically have to do it to spec, you know. So you need to get the torque specs on brake jobs. I mean, there's nothing in here that's worthy of a torque wrench. This screw here is there's a detent on it, so there's no torque really on it. Done. So this is still a little dirty, but that oiler is ready to go. David, let me know if you want this one, okay? I'll just ship it to you. Yeah, if you don't want to screw with the other one, then just I'll ship you this one. Where is? I've got a plastic OEM gear here. I've got two. Just let me know, and I'll ship this out. I've got a screw extractor called a Speed Out, and it just goes right in there and grabs, and you just pull. Like I said, if you don't want to screw with it, then I can just ship this to you. See, just turning this should basically easily turn your worm in there. The worms are cheap, they're easy to get, so. Well, cheap comparatively to buying a new oiler. Up to you. If you want to send it back, send it back. And then I'll just ship you this one. Just send me your address again, and I'll ship you this out. Remember, you still need a the X ring on here for sure before you put this one down. And I can open that oiler up live, and we can look at it. Why not? I'll just slap that right in here. And that'll be ready to go for whenever I get to the post office next. Which might be a bit, incidentally, but... Okay, what else? Plastic gear is good safety. Yeah, ideally the whole idea of the plastic worm is that the worm goes before something else happens, right? That's the idea. I don't think it ever works exactly like that, but I do a show on shipping. What am I shipping? You want to see me do a show on going to the post office? Actually, I did want to show that I got these just today. These are Steel R5. And if anybody wants the part number, it's right here. And this is impulse line. And this is spec'd as impulse line for the 200T, but I use it for impulse line for, just about anything. 372s in particular. And I think you can use it for fuel line too. Technically, R3 is spec'd for fuel line, but this is R5. I think it's a little softer. Well, James, I don't know what you want me to show you. What part of the whole shipping thing do you want me to show you? Because what I do is really not exciting. And for the most part, thanks, David. For the most part, I already show you guys what I do as far as packing and everything. So, oh, okay, just kidding. All right. Well, I want to help you guys out. And shipping is kind of an important topic, but whatever. What I do think, when I'm packing up kits and whatnot, I use the flat rate envelopes that are already padded. I think these things are gold. They're fairly rare to actually find at the post office. You can find just about any other box at the post office, all the flat rate boxes, envelopes, everything, no problem. You can't find these at the post office. You have to order them, or if you do find these at the post office, grab a handful of them, because I think these are probably the best deal going in shipping, because they're already padded and it's flat rate. I can send something to Alaska for $7.25. So nice, inexpensive, and it basically doesn't matter what the weight is here. And they're pretty tough bags. It's kind of hard to bugger them. All right. Do we want to do Briggs tonight? Let me clean up some of this stuff here. I don't know who showed up, but if anybody showed up and they want to talk about something, well, let me know. All this stuff again. So if there's anybody that's new, this is not a cooking show. I don't have everything prepared just to slap in something and be like, hey, look what I cooked. You know, I don't have everything prepared like that. A lot of this stuff is on the fly, and it is live. I make mistakes. Actually, one guy today posted on OPE. I don't know if anybody saw it in the Husky 350 threads on OPE. The it had to do what it had to do with. It had to do with the bearings, and they pointed out they had referenced one of my videos, and I actually went and deleted it because I'm like, yeah, that video wasn't the best. Delete. Gone. They weren't even critical of the video, but they were trying to reference it, and I'm like, yeah, it's really not the best video to reference, you know, so got rid of it. So I don't always do perfect stuff. I wish I did, but I don't. Okay. Briggs. So let's see. That's got to be the governor. This is definitely one of those things that's like, geez, am I ever going to get it back together? I have no idea. So supposedly I got to pull the head. But I probably have to pull all these shields off first. So let's pull, I guess, the starter. Do I need to pull that, or can I just pull the top cover? I don't know. Guys, I really don't know. Oh, okay, fine. That ain't working. Oh. Really? Well, no wonder that thing never came out. Aha, looks like there's two on the bottom here. Guaranteed to bust your knuckles. Great. What am I missing? I think I'm missing something, but I don't know what. This part over here looks like it, the shield looks like it could be relieved. I'm gonna bet that's SAE. Yeah. Yeah, but this is not overhead valve, so I do have to do a valve job, but it's going to be a little trickier than the overhead valve that I did on my my Briggs out on my lawnmower, on my rather garden tractor. Sorry, not lawnmower, garden tractor. The one that Terrell just did was was on the garden scratcher, is what somebody called it, which I thought was particularly funny. It's just a tab. Okay. I'm going to put that back there so we don't lose it. Good. That's good there. One reason I like Husqvarnas is because they just fall apart. Okay. Good. So now I'm going to put these bolts back here so I don't lose them. Since this starter has exceptionally small amount of time on it, I'm not going to be worried with the internals of that. I don't think I'll need to pull the flywheel, at least I hope I don't. Just looking to see if there's actually any clearance on the valves, and there may not be. Supposedly the valves actually get worn in the seat. They sit further down in the seat, and then there's effectively no clearance, and that can be a problem. Coke can to the rescue. So there, that clears by 4 thousandths. That does not. So suppose you have to grind the end of the valve, I think. And that's exhaust, so it's the exhaust that's not. Paul Borden, hello, the 2-mix steel, I'm happy with the hole saw, since it's kind of four-stroke. I have no idea where these things go anymore now. Great. The breather goes on here, I know that. anybody has any brilliant ideas on how to remove these without having that special compressor, that'd be great. Hey, Brandon. The DeWalt Mechanics tool set before. Don't exactly know what you're talking about. Is that a special type of, ratchets or something like that? Cordless stuff, which I do like. I've had that for a while. Guess we can pull that there. Okay. Where's my impact? What happened to that? Great, whatever. Let's use this. Dad. Ah. Okay. At least he's got anti-seize on it. Let me go find my impact for the head bolts. It can make life a lot easier. I'll be up in a minute. I'm not going to be alive much longer. Oh dear. Aha. That's going to be better. Yeah. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 head bolts. I see where it separates from. I really would rather not mess up the gasket because I don't have another one. Anybody know how to pull a head off? I forgot one. I did forget one. Oh. Brandon, you rock. Thank you. Don't want to break the fins. Yeah, it's coming. I don't know why it's being so difficult, though. No, that's too flimsy. It's not going to work. Ow. Something on the casting grabbed me. Must be this bolt that has to come off too. Didn't forget one. I forgot two. Where's Ken when you need him? Don't want to lose any. Good, there's a spider in there. Great. That looks okay. Could clean that up a little bit, but that's probably fine. I didn't either, Brandon, so I guess we don't have to feel too bad about it. Well, there's quite a bit of carbon on top there. So let's see what's going on with the valves. I mean, they definitely could be cleaned. A little bit of Scotch-Brite on there would actually help a lot. I just got to figure out how to get the valves out. David, how about using a bolt? David, how about just grinding the end down on a bolt and so that it screws in there and then just pull it out? You could do that. This is 3/8. That might work. So I like taking the bottom end on this apart. It's just not worth it, you know. It's not, the motor itself is not worth that. If I knew what I was doing, it might be, but I don't know. Just not convinced that it's worth it to tear this whole thing down and then try to rebuild it. I already can't remember how to put the rest of it back together. I'm going to have to go back to my live video and learn from that, you know. Right now, the biggest issue that I think I have is figuring out how to take the valves out. And the Briggs issue, it wasn't running right. My dad's had this on his log splitter for like 20 years, and it's been great right up until the other day when it just started to not run good. So Dad already has a new motor on it, and the log splitter's working again. But this came off of it, and it was like, hey, let's see what we can learn on this. Here, so here's the valves are here, of course, and we have the breather was here, and you have the springs in there, the valve springs, and supposedly you need a valve spring clamp or whatever to go in there and grab those and pull them out. I just don't know how to do it without that special tool, which means I might have to get a valve spring tool. On the overhead valve ones, it's much easier. Should be able just to spin this or turn this or whatever. Maybe getting these out won't be so bad. Putting them in might be. Putting them back home might be kind of a pain. There it goes. Now I should be able to pull this valve right out. Ta-da! That's only a little carboned up. But it actually looks like it's sealing well. So I probably just need to clean the carbon off and not worry about lapping it, because I know, at least feeling it, it had a pretty good feel. Yes, I need a valve spring tool. The black gear won't pull out, David? Just pull the whole oiler out. Or the worm won't pull out inside the oiler. You have to push it out. Ugh. This carbon, I mean, that's caked on there. Tempted just to use my Scotch-Brite on this to clean this up. Let's see. I might just leave that spring there. Dremel wire brush. Well, David, I have no idea why the worm gear failed. That's interesting. Why it froze. Who knows? Should be able to get some PB Blaster in there and eventually move it so it goes out, you know. If you can pull that white thing out, you know. Did you pull out the adjustment screw first? Pull the adjustment screw out first. The out and the white thing's out. Okay, good. Don't worry, Brandon. I'll laugh it. I will lap this. I've got the lapper suction cup thingy coming. That's better. Not perfect, but it's better. I've literally never done a valve job, so this is, well, I've adjusted valves before, but I've never done any lapping, so. Will that close? No. Because the spring's in the way, probably. If I can move the spring out of the way. Not likely. I know, that's easy, yeah. For those of you guys that have done it before, sure. But for me, this is new. Well, good news is kind of hard to screw up the intake valve and the exhaust valve. I think I'll pull the spring out just because. There's the intake spring. Goes with the intake valve. And then this little part, hang on. Goes on like that. Sure. Okay. Put that over there. Now that that's out of the way, need to make some clearance on the end of this valve because this valve essentially has no clearance. How much is a Homelite XL12 automatic worth? I don't know. If it's in good shape, $50. I'm not the guy to ask about vintage saws. If it was me in those situations, I'd say not much, mainly because not only am I not into vintage saws, but I try not to run anything with a chain brake with no chain brake. Click. Perfect. Once it's released, I should be able to pull the exhaust valve out. There we go. Yeah, there's no shine like on here, which I would assume would indicate that there's kind of no seal. So yeah, we'll definitely have to lap that one. And supposedly you have to grind the end here to make it so that there's clearance 4/1000ths. Unfortunately, I don't have a valve grinder, so guess what? Back in. Now I gotta pull that spring out. I forgot. Let's just pull that out. not dead center. There we go. That should come up and over. Yes, I definitely need a spring compressor. And this spring is considerably more firm than the other one. Whatever, I'm just going to leave that there. Ow. Just check in here with the I think it needs more clearance. No, that might be all right. Got that pressed. You got 4/1000 clearance there at least. So finally that's clearanced. Okay. Still, we'll lap it and double check. Because if I press down nice and hard, my, 4,000 shim, which is a piece of Coke can, slides in there. So now there's at least some clearance on that. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is actually lap these. And I don't think I have my suction cups yet. Let me just hit this with this, and then when I get my suction cups, we'll do some lapping. Okay. We'll do some lapping, put the springs back in. For sure, it's going to be ideal for me to have a spring compressor, but I don't got it, so if I can get these in by hand, then that'll be good. What else? David, I'm just gonna ship you out that thing whenever I get the chance to ship something. And yeah, that's just what we're gonna do. So you ship me back that oiler and the whole thing, the whole shoot. Just ship the whole thing back, and I'll give that a refresh, and I'll use that as a backup. Yeah, Brandon. Unfortunately, like even the desirable home lights, like the big ones, like a 750, is probably not worth more, than 600-700 bucks, and only to collectors. Um, for those guys that are nostalgic about their XL12s, they might be interested in having one, but if you can't get parts for them, etc., etc., they just start to not be worth a whole lot. Yeah, David, I'll get it figured. Nurse Ratchet is here with pain meds. James, take care of yourself, okay? I hope everything's. I hope you feel better, and I hope everything heals up good. I'm gonna call it a night, and yeah, as soon as I get the suction cup things, we'll do a quick lap on this, and it'll be certainly a whole lot better than when we started, I guess. So, thanks everybody for hanging out with me tonight. I gotta go hang out with the family a little bit, and I will catch you guys later. Okay. All right. Just remember, my buddy David got me that shirt. Anyway, have a good night, guys. Appreciate it. Take care.